and started to recognize that I was doing that was perpetuating this fatigue, it is one major area that you must start to address if you want to recover from fatigue and burnout. If you're rushing through it, you're only stressing your body more. Is it worth my time and energy? And is it going to energize me in some way? Over the years, as I've really struggled with chronic fatigue, there was something I realized that was perpetuating this fatigue. There were many things that needed to be addressed when it comes to getting your energy back and overcoming fatigue and burnout, but this is just one thing that I really want to touch on today. If you're new here, hi, my name is Asher Kleiber. I'm a registered holistic nutritionist, and I love helping women nourish their bodies so they can overcome digestive issues like bloating, digestive pain, and have abundant energy. If this is a topic that you're interested in, then I hope you'll subscribe and stick around. So it took me a really long time to recognize that I was doing this, and I think I noticed, but it was something that I just was not ready to change because I knew it was going to take effort, as does all change, and I just wasn't ready to acknowledge it and actually do something about it. It was actually something I was doing subconsciously, and I was really just doing it without even thinking about it, but it was bleeding over into my thoughts, my mindset, my health, my relationships, and really all areas of my life. And I'm sharing this with you today because it is one major area that you need to address if you want to overcome burnout and exhaustion and the fatigue that you've been living with and get out of the survival state. It's something that if you don't do, you will continue to run on empty and you will have nothing more to give. And ironically, the thing that you need to do to overcome the fatigue and exhaustion and burnout is likely the exact thing that your body, maybe not so subtly, has been begging you to do. That is to slow down and stop rushing through your life. Now, I get it. Believe me, you are busy. There is so much going on in your life, and slowing down is a lot easier said than done. But there will always be one more person to see, one more thing to say yes to, one more thing to check off your to-do list. There will always be more to do. But setting boundaries in these different areas of your life is essential to overcoming burnout and getting your energy back. I want to share a few things that I've learned over the years that I think would be really helpful for you too. Number one is to say no to certain non-essentials for a period of time. One thing I'm learning and working on practicing more and more is that you don't need to say yes to everything. Just because someone invited you somewhere doesn't mean you have to go. Just because the situation presents itself doesn't mean it's a situation you need to say yes to. As a people pleaser, this is a hard one for me. I've really struggled to say no to things and to not go to events that I feel like I'm expected to go to. And it's been one of the most important things for me to do because I am protecting myself and my energy and focusing on the things that really matter. I've been reading a book lately called Essentialism by Greg McKeown, and I've really gotten a lot of takeaways from it. It talks about how you can begin to prioritize the things that really matter, the essentials, and cut off the excess, the non-essentials. Now, I'm not saying to go to extremes like maybe this book talks about. I'm not saying to cut everybody out of your life and never say no to anything, but it really does open your eyes to what is actually essential in life, what are the non-negotiables, and what can I let go of, what can I do less of. But I really love this idea of going through and assessing these different areas of my life to see where I'm spending my time and if it's really supporting my health, my relationships, and my goals in life. I love this quote from Essentialism. It says that when we don't purposefully and deliberately choose where to focus our energies and time, other people choose for us. And I had this thought the other day about how when we're on social media, we're literally just being fed what the algorithm wants us to see. That is not a conscious choice. It is whatever they want us to see. That's what we're gonna see, and that's the content that we're taking in. And that's kind of scary when you think about it. So when we think about this idea of choosing what you're taking in, choosing where your energy goes and where your time goes and what you're focused on, that's really powerful. Now, of course, one maybe obvious example is if you're spending hours of your day scrolling your phone. It's something that is happening often without even our conscious effort of doing it. We just open our phones automatically. It's such a habit by now. But when we're doing that, we're being overstimulated by technology and blue light and a constant steady stream of information. That is overwhelming to our nervous systems, and that can actually contribute to the burnout and the fatigue. And that's something that we do have a conscious effort to make a choice to not do that and to choose to do something else that is not as overstimulating. Other non-essentials can be, not eating a whole bag of chips and eating a good solid dinner so you're not craving and hangry and snacky at the end of the day, right? Or maybe saying no if you're invited to multiple events in a row, prioritizing where you're going to spend your time and your energy that will serve you the best, and of course serve others the best. It's not selfish to protect your energy and to choose where you're putting it. I think this is something that, again, I had to learn of. I don't need to say yes to everything. Saying no is actually a form of self-respect. But focusing on your priorities in life, these are things that are going to energize you, even if it's just in a small way during the day. I find it's often the small things that I do that have the most benefit. It's those little habits that I do day in and day out that really have the most payoff. And it's those little habits that you don't really notice you're doing, like scrolling your phone or eating unhealthy food or thinking negatively, things like that are going to drain your energy and suck you dry. And those are things that we can rewire and reprogram. You can ask yourself before and even after an activity, is this thing worth my time and energy? My second tip on slowing down to recover from burnout is to intentionally choose where you spend your energy. Now that you've started to say no to things, now what are you going to say yes to? What do you get to say yes to? Whether this is healthy or not, since going through my health journey, I tend to think of things in life as deposits of energy. If I'm about to do something, or I was invited to something, or maybe I'm gonna take on a new work project, I have to first ask myself, is this worth my time and energy? And secondly, is this thing going to energize me? An example of that would be maybe volunteering. It is taxing to do something physical, and sometimes it's just worth it to do those physical things because you know that the payoff is going to be worth it. You know that you're going to be supporting a good cause, or you're going to be blessing somebody else. Those types of questions you can ask yourself to kind of weigh the pros and cons of what you're about to say yes to. If you think about someone who does not energize you, if you hang out with a person and you feel kind of drained after, you can probably think of somebody right now. Someone probably just popped into your head. Versus if you hang out with somebody who, after, you know you're gonna feel energized and positive and it's going to energize you in some ways. I know it's gonna be worth it because I will feel energized, whether that's emotionally, spiritually, or mentally. And those are good things too, and things that you can weigh in on when you make decisions about where to spend your energy intentionally. The book Essentialism also puts it this way: if it's not a clear yes, it's a clear no. Now, I know this can seem very black and white, and I don't think every single question is going to have a clear yes or a clear no, but it really just gets you thinking about, okay, what am I prioritizing? What am I putting my energy into? I would take this a step further and ask, okay, where does God want me to prioritize my energy? Where does He want me to put my energy and my time? And what is going to be most beneficial for me, but also where does He want me? And where does He want me moving in and pursuing? I mean, for me, YouTube, it is not a relaxing place to be. You know, this takes energy for me to do, but it's something I felt led to do because I knew that God was calling me to, and I knew it was going to take energy and effort, but I know that the payoff is going to be so worth it because it's where He's called me to be. Because ultimately, if you're a person of faith, it's not about what we want. It's all about what He wants, because His plan is so much better than what you could make for yourself, what I could think up on my own. So choose to be intentional with where you're spending your deposits of energy. So it's the next day, and I have to be honest with you guys. As I was filming this yesterday, I was totally burnt out. I don't know if you could see it in the video, but I was done. And I realized, okay, I gotta take my own advice and I need to stop filming and I need to go rest. So that's what I did. I turned the camera off, I went and rested, and oh man, it was worth it. Because I was just pushing. I was pushing too hard. And this is a common theme in my videos because it tends to be a common theme in my life where I tend to push too hard. And that is my next tip, is that you can't just keep pushing and expect your body to just bounce back and be resilient when you've been spending your life in survival mode and pushing the boundaries your whole life. So it really takes slowing down and intentionally slowing down and not pushing yourself too hard and too far and overextending yourself to recover and have energy again. It's really a recipe for exhaustion and hormonal chaos when we just keep pushing and never rest. Your adrenals become taxed, your thyroid takes over and has to deal with all this excess stress and pressure and exhaustion, and we're pumping out stress hormones. Our nervous system becomes overstimulated, and it's not a sustainable way to live. It is a recipe for burnout. If you've heard about the HPA axis, it includes not just the adrenals, but maybe you've heard of adrenal fatigue, but also the thyroid and pituitary, and how these different organs interact with each other, these organs and glands, and the nervous system's at play in this. And there's so many pieces that are being effective when we're pushing ourselves too hard and we're really not listening to our bodies and not letting ourselves slow down. And again, it just leads to burnout, and it is not a sustainable way to live, and eventually it will just be too much to handle, and your body will let you know when that happens. So we want to hopefully get to a place where we catch that before it happens. And there's other ways we can do this too. We can talk about this more in another video if you're interested. But we can do that through diet and other things as well, and supplements. But it's important to just know, I hate using the term where your limits are, because I don't want to have a limiting belief system. I don't want to be limiting myself. But it's important to listen to your body. And if your body's saying, hey, you need to rest right now, you need to just say no to this thing, and you need to just rest and relax, then honor that and listen to that. Because if you keep ignoring those symptoms and those signals, it's just not going to be good. Tip number 4 is that slowing down is a choice. I feel like most people have this idea that slowing down is optional and it's a novelty, but it's not really an option for me, or it's just not something that's attainable in real life. It's just something that you see online, and these people have no jobs, or maybe they work from home like I do. And I think it's more of a mindset that we need to bring into our everyday lives, that slowing down is not optional, it is essential. And ultimately, it's a choice. Oftentimes we aren't even in control of where we're spending our time and energy, because things are just being thrown at us and we're just saying yes to everything, and we don't even really recognize that we're overextending ourselves so much because we're just not even in control of the choices that we're making sometimes. We are just going along with the world's pace, which is way too fast nowadays. Everything is fast. We have fast food, fast internet, fast cars. We need things done yesterday. And that is this mentality that we have in the world. And that is something that leads to burnout and overwhelm and exhaustion. If you've been feeling burnt out and overwhelmed, I would just encourage you to take a little assessment of, where am I pushing too hard? Where am I doing too much? And where can I cut back and slow down? Choose one area. Maybe you are spending a certain amount of time someday doing things that are just really draining. You have a certain thing that you're doing. Can you pass that off to somebody else? Can you delegate it? Can you drop it? Can you choose to do something else? Is there something that you can just cut back on in one single area without having to overhaul your whole life? Whatever it is that stuck out to you right now, think about how you can slow down and how you can do less in that one single area. For me, I find the more I really think on it, it's really starting from a mindset and a thought process of, I just need to rush through and get things done as quickly as I possibly can. And I don't know if it comes from something in particular, maybe something to do with growing up, or if it's just the fast-paced culture in our world that we need to have things done yesterday. I think that over the years, because I just wanted to do anything possible to save a little bit of energy, I just tried to get things done as quickly as I possibly could so I could hurry up and rest. And that's something that I still am working through and working on, because that has been a mentality that I've had for so many years. If I can just get the dishes done as quickly as possible, then I have so much more time to rest. Which doesn't actually make sense. It's very counterintuitive, because if you're rushing through it, you're only stressing your body more, you're stressing your adrenals, you're stressing your nervous system. You will feel worse during the activity and you'll feel more burnt out after. I need to remind myself, okay, just take a deep breath, take a couple deep breaths, drop your body into rest and digest, and you're gonna get it done eventually. You don't have to rush through everything. You'll feel better. I find this often bleeds over into our health journeys too. Maybe you experience this, but I find with clients sometimes they tend to expect really quick results, and for myself too, sometimes I'm like, well, I did this thing, shouldn't I be feeling a difference right now? Shouldn't I be feeling so much better? Maybe you cut out sugar and you're expecting to feel 100% in a week. It's just not realistic, right? We have to be gentle, we have to be slow with ourselves and not expect overnight complete transformation, because what I often remind my clients and myself is that you didn't get here overnight, so things are not going to be 100% overnight. Apart from a miracle, that could totally happen, I believe that. But we have to just give ourselves some grace and recognize that we can't expect things to just turn like that. It's gonna take time, and we have to be patient with ourselves. Now, I know there's probably women watching this that are like, well, she doesn't have kids, she doesn't get it, she doesn't know how busy I am. I get that, okay? I don't have kids yet, and I can't speak from experience in that area, but what I can say is I've had a lot of practice being burnt out and being overwhelmed and exhausted, and I've learned a few things from it, and slowing down is one of the best things you can possibly do. And there are ways, even if you work a full-time job, even if you have kids and they're running around and they're crazy, there are ways to find slowness in the day. And I think it's just the challenge is, how can we find those ways? And how can we, again, prioritize one area at a time? Tip number 5 is to bring more slowness into your meals. When is the last time you just sat and ate your food and enjoyed it without distractions? That you ate slowly and chewed well and really just focused on the food that you're eating and the people that you were with. Your body wasn't designed to digest food in a stressed out state, in a rushed state, and we actually need to be in a relaxed parasympathetic state to be able to fully digest your food. And if you struggle with things like bloating or gas or indigestion after meals, and gut health is a big concern of yours, I would encourage you to start here, because again, your digestive system just doesn't work properly. It actually shuts down when we're in a stressed out state, when we're in sympathetic, and we just cannot fully digest and assimilate our nutrients properly. And this is going to lead to burnout and fatigue as well, because if we're not digesting our foods properly, we can't use those nutrients for energy. If you are not chewing your food properly, if you're rushing through your meals, all of these things are going to contribute to this poor digestive state, and therefore fatigue and bloating and indigestion and gas and all these other really fun digestive symptoms that we just don't want to have to deal with. When is the last time you made yourself a good home-cooked healthy meal and just enjoyed it with your loved ones instead of picking up fast food on the way home? Eating healthy foods doesn't need to be complicated or difficult to prepare, and if eating healthy feels really overwhelming to you, I have a video that I will link that I think is going to help you out. I shared my tips on how you can simplify nutrition, so go check that out. Now, my last tip, I kind of touched on a little bit earlier, but it's developing a slower paced mindset. How can I enjoy this more? How can I make this experience more enjoyable? On social media lately, there's been this whole theme of romanticizing your life, and I'm not going to use those terms, but I will say that finding more slowness and ease in your day-to-day life, whether that's in meals and really just enjoying your meals and not sitting in front of the TV but enjoying them with a loved one, or just taking your time doing things around the house and not trying to rush through everything, and having this more easeful mindset can be so helpful, because again, you're not going to be stressing your body overly by having this stressed out mindset. Because I think we don't realize, at least I don't, that if I'm feeling rushed and trying to get through things so quickly, it makes me anxious. If I really think back, okay, how did I really feel when I was doing these things? I didn't feel good. I would feel anxious. I would feel more fatigued and more exhausted after just trying to get through it instead of really enjoying the process. If I remind myself to breathe and to not just be frustrated by my lack of ability or frustrated by symptoms I might be experiencing in the moment, I'll feel a lot better during and after. God designed our bodies to function in a peaceful state. We weren't made to function in a stressed out, rushed, busy, always hurrying state. So I hope these tips were helpful for you. I hope they gave you some things to think about and work on. And I would encourage you to just start implementing at least one of them this week, even today, and see how you feel when you do it. When you start to make those little shifts in your life and you start to prioritize where your energy is going, slowing down and starting with your mindset, and really just asking yourself, is this worth my energy? And if so, will it energize me? And how can I really make these times, these moments, these deposits of energy count? I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. And I would love to hear what one of your biggest takeaways was from this video. Thank you so much for being here. And remember, you were made to flourish. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.